Hello guys, good day. Welcome to the iAutomate, a creative space where you get the best of the internet experience. Now, on today's class, I'm going to be teaching you basically the necessary things you need to know before you start up a website journey or before you can become a programmer. So, these are what you have to take note of. Before you become a programmer, there are things you need to know. There are things you need to put in place, and as for a starter like you or a newbie, you need to gain this knowledge so you know what exactly you are doing once we start the practical. So I'm going to be showing you what you need to know about domain names, what you need to get before you start your website. The first thing you need to take note of before you start your website journey. So now the thing you need is, let me go into my slide so I can be able to show you clearly what you need. So okay, welcome to the iAutomate concept. Now, what is a domain name? I know many of you must be wondering. Each time somebody wants to design a website, he always asks you, what is your domain name? So let me give you a brief explanation of what domain name is. Domain name is a unique address for a website. Usually it consists of a website name and a domain name extension. Now let me just complete it. The memorable domain name will strengthen your brand and help your audience find your website. Now, a domain name is a unique address. Now, what is unique? A unique simply means something that is beautiful, or something that is nice or smart. A smart address for your website. Usually it consists of a website name and a domain extension. What is a domain name extension? .com is a domain name extension, .ng is a domain name extension, .org is a domain name extension. So any name that comes after .com, .ng is a domain name extension. So any name that comes after those extensions is known as a website name. Now, it should be memorable. That is one of the things you have to know. Like mine is www.iautomateconcept.com. You see, it's memorable. iautomateconcept.com is memorable. automateconcept.com is memorable. You will not just go and find a domain name, just bring it up, maybe a domain name that is long, that is bulky, and that is boring. No, it doesn't make sense. So you can say www.smartwaves.com. You see how memorable the name is. So that is all you need to know about a domain name. Now, the next thing you need to know, why do you need a domain name? Now, you need a domain name because you can't build your website without even having a domain name. That is what you need to know first. Before you start building your website, the first criteria in which you want to build your website is for you to have a domain name. So your domain name, it helps in effective branding. It helps in infecting your branding. It's well thought as domain name will help your communication and or communicate your project or business in a way that aligns with your brand's value and mission. So you see, somebody can come and say www.helpthepoor. You see, it's kind of .com. It's kind of helping the brand, say its value or its mission. So imagine me coming to tell you www.iautomate.school. Okay, this domain name is for school. You can be able to identify it immediately. I just say it. Okay, and also its memorability, and you need a domain name because of its memorability. Your audience can technically visit your website without domain names by entering its IP address. However, an IP address simply means every domain name has its own IP. So the person does not need to go and start looking for you everywhere. He will just enter because he have already memorized your domain name. So these are what you need to know, and these are what you need to get before you start building your website. Now, I also said why you need a domain name is for you to customize your email address. What are those customizing? Now, we have unique email address other than iautomate@gmail.com, iautomate at yahoo.com. No, they are customized email. What are those email? You can see most of the times you can see email like info at, support at. You can see something like contact at. Contact at, then the domain name comes alongside with it. Like me, info at ultimateconcept.com. So these are unique email. You can't have this email without you having a domain name. So take note of that. For you to have a unique email like this, what you are seeing here, info, support, contact, email, whatever, at the name of your domain name.com or the name of your domain name your extension, you need to have a domain name. So you see, it makes your brand very unique and effective. Now, why you need a domain name is also SEO. Now, we call SEO search engine optimization. Now, it helps you to give relevant keywords, towards optimizing and making you go viral and improving its ranking on search engine. Somebody can go on Google and be like, now if your business is not on Google, it's not legit. Just know that now. Your business being on Google has a way of improving your sales, because when somebody wants to do business with you, most especially when it comes to money, he wants to check you out on Google. So you see, you can't have those presence on Google or those presence on the internet space without you having a domain name. So you see, domain name is very, very important for any businesses. So that is all you need to know about why you need to get a domain name. There are a whole lot of more, but these are the major things you need to know. Now, how do domain works? You need to understand how domain works. For every website has two main elements: a domain name and a web hosting. Now, a domain name, let me just briefly explain this before we go into the web hosting aspect. A domain name is very necessary, and a web hosting is also necessary, or a web server. Before you can be able to make your domain name work, you need to have a web server. Now, let me just give this graphical illustration. A phone is a domain name. What makes it for you to make calls, your SIM and your memory card is known as your web hosting server. So you having a phone, there are limits to what you can do when you have a SIM on it, and also when you have a memory card on it. So you see, these are how it works. So most of the times, or should I say battery? Yes, your web server or your web hosting server is your battery, is your SIM, and is your memory card. So you having a phone without the battery in it, the phone is as good as useless. There are some things you can do. Maybe you can just plug your phone and use it directly, but it's still useless. So just take note of this illustration I just gave. Now, a domain name is just a name that you can be identified with on the web server. Do you understand? A domain name is a name that you can be identified with. Irrespective of your IP address and any point of specification, you still need a web hosting server. So once you buy your domain name, you still need to buy a web hosting for you to host it. Now, your web hosting is just like a shop. Now, for instance, I meet you. Let me give this illustration again so you can understand what I'm trying to explain. Now, I meet you somewhere and I told you, okay, my name is iUltimate. What comes to your mind next is, where is your shop? Where is your office? Now, your office is your web hosting server. So your name does not simply mean that the person has seen your office, or no, you have to take the person to your office. So that ability for your name to take the person to the office is known as your web hosting server. So that is all you need to know about a domain name and also a web hosting server, how they work. Now, the next is the server with the information about the IP address returns it to the web browser, which respond. I don't want to go deep into this, because once we start dealing with your web hosting server, you will be able to understand what I'm just trying to say here. Now, this is a note you just need to pen down. Let me just briefly explain this. Now, inside your web server, you have a